Hello fellow Gothamites! Since some of you asked for a tutorial of how I paint my buildings for the Batman miniature game, I will do a quick video series about that. Since there's an already built piece at my painting table, I'm ready to get started. Okay, since I cleaned up my little hobby space, this is what I will be working on for the next couple videos. This MDF building is already PVA glued and finished. Every door and window is already done. This is the abandoned Brownstone Apartment from TTCombat. It shows some neat details, showing nailed up windows, broken stonework. I think it will fit nicely in my slum-like district of Gotham. I also have some more buildings that I will do later, like the police station building, also from TTCombat. You can check their stuff at their website. I can recommend their products. They're easy to build, everything fits. Up until now I got no missing pieces or anything like that. And also the price is very good in my opinion compared to plastic or resin buildings from other companies. The first thing we have to do is to put some primer on. Because it's MDF, when you put your paint on the surface, it will soak your paint in when you don't prime it or seal the pores from the wood. So you can just use any primer you want, for example the GW primer, even the new ones. Black if you want a real dark and gritty looking building, and the bright primer for the opposite effect. For my part, I don't want to waste my more expensive primer, so you can just buy a standard acrylic based bottle from your hardware store. But for my buildings, I like to use cheap hairspray or hair lacquer. It's enough to seal the pores and you have a nice coat to put your paint on. Okay, now it's time to get this done while it's not raining outside, shall we? So we have nice weather today. Perfect condition for staying inside and painting terrain. Let's cover the whole thing with this stuff. It doesn't matter if it's not applied perfectly even. In fact, we do want the opposite, to have a nice random finish, whereas some of the paint will get a little bit soaked. This way it will already look like it's weathered a bit. After that, let's just leave it 15 minutes to dry. Back at the painting table. Now that our abandoned brownstone building has a nice coat of lacquer, we can finally slap some base coat on. The reason that I glued everything together from the start is because I don't care much of painting the inside. It's empty and abandoned anyway, so I decided to leave it like that. Of course, if you want to paint the inside, you don't want to glue the floors together and start painting the inside first. I did that for my other buildings and also glued some transparent plastic sheet like this on the inside for the windows. If you want to do that, this should be the last thing you want to do before gluing everything together. For the base coat of paint, I use cheap acrylic paint for using on wood or metal, and that's easy to mix. I also don't want to waste paints from my GW P3 or Vallejo stock, but they will also work since we sealed the surface with a hairspray. You can buy those tubes or sets in any hobby store. For this building, I think I'm going to aim for a slightly darker look, really washed down from rain, dirt and pollution. So I will use a mix of brown, red and dark yellow. Okay, I already put some paint onto my palette. For the mix I will use 1 part dark yellow, 2 parts brown and 2 parts red. Let's add some water with our brush and mix it all together until we have a real nice reddish brown. If you want to compare this with, for example, a GW color, I think this would be close to Doombull Brown. The colors are a bit thinner than GW colors and don't have many pigments, so I think we will need 2 coats of paint for this. I will apply this color mainly for the stonework and the roof. And while applying, don't worry too much about hiding all the brush strokes. The dirtier the better. Since this is an old and abandoned building, this will support our finished paint job. And also later we will bring back some of the details with the dark wash. Okay, the brown is finished after applying 2 coats and we have a nice uneven finish. For the next step I will use cracked brown from GW. With this color I want to paint the window frames, floor section dividers and some parts of the roof. This color is much thicker, so I will only need 1 coat this time. With cracked brown applied to the window frames and floor section dividers, I will now paint the front stairs and the sidewalk section. Since I want to give them a concrete-like look, I will use Brownstone from GW. With the grey parts done, I also painted the railings in the same color as the stonework to have a nice contrast to the grey. For the door I want to use a dark green. For this I will use War Flesh from GW. With the door done, it's now time to paint the boards nailed to the window frames. For this I will be using Baylor Brown from GW. Okay, now that we have applied all our base colors to our abandoned building, we now will give it a heavy wash with a dark tone. For this, I will use good old Agrex Earthshade from GW. Okay, the last step for today is done. We gave our building a heavy wash with Agrex Earthshade, and now we not also brought every color together, but brought back some of the details we lost while applying the base coat. For the next video, we will lighten everything up a bit with dry brushing, applying some posters, painting our graffitis, and also put on some weathering effects. Thanks everyone for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel and we will hopefully see you again.